might be all about the vehicles, but it's the people behind them who really steer the story. Welcome to Fleet Legends, an interview series all about passing down hard earned fleet knowledge, sponsored by Legend Fleet. I'm Lauren Fletcher, Bobbitt's VP of Content, and today I'm sitting down with someone whose impact on this industry runs deep. If you've been in fleet for a while, there's a good chance you've heard his name or felt his influence, even if he's been out of the day to day spotlight for a bit. Carl Nelson is one of those true longtimers with more than 4 decades of real-world experience with fleets like AT&T and AM Liner East, and a reputation built on doing the work, leading through change, and helping others along the way. Carl, I am so excited to finally get you on this series.
Oh, it's my pleasure, and I want to thank you very much for including me in this very elite group. As we've discussed, I don't believe that I'm a legend. I was just a regular guy trying to do a good job.
Well, I disagree. I definitely think you're a legend, and every legend has an origin story. So, for those who might not know you, would you share a little bit about how you got started in Fleet?
Well, I was one of those that was using a company vehicle every day, and the company decided that they wanted to start some investigation in many processes to see if they could realize savings and improve the process. And one of those processes that came up was fleet. And my boss asked me if I wanted to be part of that. And I've always been interested in cars, so I jumped at the chance and kind of slid into fleet sideways, uh, being able to work with a diverse group of very knowledgeable, hardworking people. So rather than having it all dumped on me, I slid in sideways, and it made the transition so much easier.
I love that. I love that. We talk a lot about falling into Fleet. I think slid in sideways. That's the first time I've heard that reference.
Well, I've never known anybody that wanted to grow up to be a fleet manager, so we all had to come in it some way or one way or another.
So, our goal is to change that. In reflecting back on your Fleet career, I know you've seen a lot of changes. We were talking about that before we kicked off. What are some of the more significant changes that you've seen during your career?
The biggest thing for me is when computerization finally uh, came into fleet and being able to do things a little bit easier with computers. And I was able to use a computer to make my job easier. Now we're talking back in DOS days, so I know I'm dating myself, but I was even able to write a couple programs that made fleet management considerably easier for us.
Creating a better day for the legends of the road with the non-slip van floors, protective interior liners, and full range of work van accessories. Trusted by major OEMs and fleets all across North America and Europe.
If you could go back in time, I think this is probably one of my favorite questions. We're gonna hop into a quick virtual time machine. What's one thing you wish you would have known when you first started out in Fleet?
Well, the same thing I wish I still knew, and that's how to play politics. I've never been one
Huh?
for stroking egos or trying to make nice on it. I just always told it like it was, and it made the job considerably more difficult at times. And I still don't know how to play politics. I've never learned.
Well, you made it pretty far without that. So, I mean, experience does not come easy. Let's get into the takeaways that stuck with you. What are some of the more important lessons that you learned in fleet management that you think are crucial for new fleet managers to understand?
Well, I always tried to live by what I called the roller philosophy, and that stands for research, observation, learn, listen, educate, and respect. And if you keep all those qualities in mind, I think it makes a job considerably easier. Of course, the biggest thing is to learn the job, to listen to others who have the experience and do your research and not be afraid to say, I don't know, and go find the answer.
Was the pun intentional with roller and fleet?
Not really, but it just it worked out that way. And trying to bluff your way through something is always going to come back and bite you.
What about rookie mistakes? When we start any new job, it's definitely easy to assume you might know everything or make some critical mistakes. What have you seen over the years that you'd recommend new fleet managers steer clear of?
Well, again, research and take advantage of the resources that are out there, like from Bobbit, what you can learn at conferences, what you can learn by listening to people, and what you can learn by doing. Not everything is going to work for your fleet, but you need to take a look at it and see if you can adapt it to work for your fleet. Some things you can't. Some things, it's amazing what you can come up with.
So I think that really leads really well into the next question of balance. Fleet is really a balance of people, processes, technology, and you've definitely seen it evolve over the decades you've been in fleet. Thinking about what's worked well, what practices or innovations have you found to be the most effective in managing a successful fleet?
Well, again, by paying attention and listening to your drivers, they're going to know their job a whole lot better than you are, and you need to work with them. Now, there will be some that you don't particularly like, but you still have to work with them. So, what you need to do is keep an open mind, uh, make sure that you respect their position and what they have to say, and uh, just do what needs to be done.
That word respect comes back in again.
Absolutely. That's the biggest thing. We're all in this boat together, and we all need to find a way to work together. And you're not going to make any progress by being opinionated or flying off the handle or telling somebody what you truly think of them.
See, I think you're better at the politics than you might think.
uh,
So, I mean, technology. In just the past year or two, it has come a long way. In your career, it has completely evolved. What are the ways that it's really changed fleet management and what advancements were really the most game-changing in your mind?
well, again, computerization and the fact that so many things that were done manually can now be done faster and more accurately. And you need to embrace that and constantly think of things that you can do to make your life easier. Uh, and in the last few years, I see so much else come into play, and I'm glad that I was at the beginning and not having to learn all the new stuff that's coming along. I don't think there's enough brain cells left in me to absorb some of this.
Man, so running a fleet is one thing, and leading a team through ups and downs that happen in fleet management is an entirely different challenge. What strategies have you used to build or lead a successful team?
Well, through most of my career, I was a team of one. I had nobody reporting to me, so I had to learn how to deal with people, and I had to pay close attention, take a lot of notes, But again, it boils down to listening and research and learning and respect. Uh, that's the basis of basically any job, but the one that's going to teach you the most about uh, your vehicles that you're putting out in the fleet are people that are using them. And ask questions, ask what worked for them, what they liked, what they didn't like, what could be better. Certainly, we're not going to put out a luxury vehicle there, but you need to have a doable vehicle, whether it's an upfit package or the vehicle itself. And we were able to produce some packages and do the research, which actually put the proper vehicle out in the fleet. I won't say that we invented right sizing, but we were among the first. And fortunately, it got a lot of knowledge passed on throughout magazines and conferences and whatever to see the importance of not only saving the money but putting the proper vehicle in there for the workers.
Staying motivated through all of this. I mean, you mentioned that you were often just a team of one. So, how did you keep yourself motivated and engaged and inspired over the years?
Well, it was definitely a challenge, but I vastly enjoyed the job. I had some great people I was able to work with and learn from, and every day was a day that I looked forward to going to work and being able to make a difference. And apparently, I was rather lucky in being able to do that, and it just made me feel good when you could see the results of the policies that you put in place and the changes that you made, and that's what kept me going.
And I mean, at the end of the day, it wasn't only just, saving dollars or reducing budgets, it was keeping drivers and the public safe as well, that it was something that you were responsible for.
Oh, definitely, and I found that my quirky humor helped quite a bit in uh, uh, dealing with people and getting things done, and appreciating the contributions from everyone, including the drivers, and making sure that if they came up with an innovation that we implemented, make sure that that driver got the credit for it. That put them on your side big time.
Yeah. No, that's a great tip. Um, we're gonna hop back into that little virtual time machine for a minute, and we're going to look ahead. Because one thing I know for sure, even if in the past people didn't grow up wanting to be a fleet manager, we're really trying to change that. Fleet is always evolving, and that next generation is watching. What advice would you give to new entrants wanting to come in or looking to join fleet management as a career?
Well, the first thing I'd want them to know is that this is the only position I've ever had in my life where there was no competition, that people were willing to help you, that if you had a problem, you can ask people, and I never met a single person who didn't welcome being able to share their knowledge and their failures as well as their successes. It's like this one giant team where we're all in this together, we're all working for the better, and never once did I have anyone that ever uh, looked down on me or refused to answer one of my questions. And it was always a very enlightening and educational conversation. And we became friends. I had so many fleet manager friends, and not one was trying to do better than me or afraid to tell me of their failures.
Well, Carl, again, I am so glad to have finally got you onto this series. And thank you so much for sharing your journey and the insights that you've gained along the way. It's stories like yours that just remind us again that Fleet isn't just about vehicles and evolving technology, it's really about the people that keep driving the change every day. Before we wrap, I'd love to give you the last word. Is there anything else that you'd like to say to folks watching or your fellow Fleet friends that are turning in?
Well, I can't emphasize enough that you need to research, you need to observe, you need to listen. And if you respect everybody that you're working with, you're going to advance the fleet and yourself. And I'm especially learning from people such as you, who has been one of my longest friends in fleet. And I can't begin to tell you how much you have helped me over the years. And just be grateful that there are so many people out there that want you to succeed.
Carl, thank you again. And for everyone else, we hope you're walking away with some solid takeaways and maybe a little inspiration too. If you've got thoughts on this episode, drop them in the comments. If you know someone with a legendary story, tell me who you want to see next. We've got more great conversations on the way, so stay curious, stay connected, and we'll catch you on the next episode of Fleet Legends.